When I started off with this test drive, I kept saying the Bentley Continental Flying Spur because that's exactly what it was. But though this one is based on the platform of the Continental GT Coupe, it's chosen to drop the Continental tag. It doesn't want to be seen as just a stretched version of the two-door coupe. This Flying Spur wants to have its own identity. Well, when you have to figure someone's identity out, you have to spend quite some time with them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Start off early morning and spend the day with the Flying Spur. Now, though Bentley engineers believe that Bentleys should be bought to be driven, not be driven in, unfortunately in our neck of the world, that's not really what the owners do. So I slipped into the back seat first to see just how luxe this latest version was. This is the place to be. Now, the little while that I was driving in the city to get out of it, I was watching the corners, the edges, worrying about all the traffic. But here, I'm in the lap of luxury and letting someone else worry about the driving. Space, I don't really have to say it, it's a premium. I can stretch my legs out like my living room here. Seats extremely comfortable, they're reclinable so I can slide all the way back, heated, cooled with a massage function. And I have practically everything that I need back here. I have the entertainment system, I have a nice little table. I have this vanity mirror in case I need it. The AC, door lock, unlock, cigarette, ashtray, lighter. I mean, it's just the works. I could be in my living room. But when you buy a car that has a price tag upward of 3 crore, you have to feel special on every front. You have to feel like you're different from the rest and in a world of your own. Now, it's just so beautiful the way this isolates you from the outside world. But let me just highlight that. Put the window down and you can really hear how noisy it is outside. Roll it up. And it's like I've just cut the world away. I'm isolated. I'm on my own. I'm in my own little bubble here. It's strictly a two-seater at the back, and it must be mentioned that all this fine leather has a layer of soft foam under it to make it feel plusher and comfortable like your living room couch. It's not only the seats that are pillow soft, the ride quality is quite good too. Now, most of the time, this just wafts over everything that the roads have to throw over it. Especially at low speed, the ride is really good, it's supple, and even in the stiffest of suspension settings, it handles everything beautifully and as you would expect of a car of this caliber. But as you gain speed, you do hear the tires over the expansion gaps, and it does tend to crash over the sharper bumps. Still, we have to realize that we're riding on 21-inch tires, and a size a little lower with softer sidewalls may have worked better. Well, despite the small hiccups, the Bentley backseat passes muster really well, and let's say most of the time you'll waft around comfortably in the lap of luxury. Should you hit a larger speed breaker, the air suspension has a raise mode to tackle even the nastiest one. Well, when Bentley engineers claim that this is a driver's car, why disappoint them now that we've got to a cleaner stretch of road? I'm going to take over the wheel and drive. At 5.3 meters long and 1.9 meters wide, and I thought navigating it around wouldn't be easy. Washing dishes at Bentley is not a job I want, so I started carefully. It's probably one of the first few cars, I think I have to say I was happier at the back than behind the wheel. And that's because with visions of washing dishes at Bentley for the rest of my life, I think I'm far more comfortable at the back and letting someone else drive. You can't just kick down a gear, put your foot down, zip past things or overtake easily. This car feels massive and you do feel its size, and you're always watching the corners. The thing is that this is a massive car, and you know from behind the wheel it's not a two-door sports car. But where it's not lithe, it's composed and predictable. It may not dart into corners, but it's not expected to, and it behaves in a manner that's much better than you expect, largely due to its continental roots. What's exciting, really, is what's under the hood. The 6-litre W12 that produces a ridiculous 616 bhp and 81.6 kgm of torque pulls this 2.5-tonner like it was half its weight. What's really nice is this engine. In normal mode, put your foot down, it gets off the line easily, and then you get this huge surge of torque, which takes a little getting used to because it reels the car in front of you in so quickly. But once you're riding that wave of torque, you can ride it all the way to the red line. And it's amazing how this engine pulls this massive car and makes it feel really quick. When you flip it into sports mode, the responses come in a little quicker and it feels nicer to drive. The beauty about this is that the torque comes in quite low and makes it very drivable too. It's responsive over such a broad range that it doesn't matter which gear you're in. And whilst on the gearbox, I have to say that the ZF 8-speed doesn't fail to impress wherever I see it. The shifts are smooth and precise, and it keeps the car in the right range always, helping its responsiveness. What I really love, and in every avatar I've seen it in, is this 8-speed ZF gearbox. And I'm actually happy to let it do its work because in manual mode, the paddles, especially for my short fingers, feel quite a distance away to pull. The ZF gearbox makes it more fuel efficient too, but then that's all relative. Who's counting the pennies when you're shelling out the pounds? The engine is extremely refined, and as expected, it purrs very distantly in the background. Now on the inside, it's really a banquet of rich leather, wood, metal, and everything feels uber premium. In fact, you get that handcrafted feel. Every stitch is perfect. Detailing is really nice, like the pull-push knobs on the AC vents, this meshed metal feel on the gear lever. Like the steering buttons, the touchscreen, the suspension and the seat heating buttons on the central console, which all stand out in contrast and look borrowed. Still, it's hard to fault this cabin, and it does spell luxe out loud. The equipment list, most of which we've mentioned, is quite long too, but here's another look. Well, as you can see, I've had quite a day with the Bentley. We've driven quite far out of town. Well, I'm going to take a breath and relax a bit, enjoy the surroundings. You take a closer look at the car. On the outside, there are a few visual cues to point at its departure from the Continental brand. There are the familiar circular pair of headlights, but now the outer lamps are larger, making it more stately than sporty. The lower front air dam is a wide mesh of chrome and the grille is more upright. The roof flows more elegantly to the rear and is accentuated by a more geometrical boot. Thick pronounced haunches and a sinuous shoulder line finish off its regal look. Well, you have to thank import taxes for a 3.1 crore price tag attached to this. Now I'm talking base version, that's even before you put the add-ons. But when you spend that kind of money and you have that kind of badge, then it definitely says you've arrived. People know you know your business. Now, we've driven the Bentley for the whole day and we think it has a few flaws, some on ergonomics, the ride quality not as good as its rivals. And you also have the likes of the S-Class around, which come at half the price, are loaded with tech and promise you as much capability. But then, there's so many S-Classes around, and If you want the exclusivity, you want to make that statement, you want to say you've arrived, you want a fast moving saloon that gives you great levels of luxury, well, it's worth signing that check.